Welcome everybody, my name is Jaron Adson. I'm here to teach you how to clean golf clubs and make new buddies at the same time. So, if you've already read the introduction and all that stuff, you should probably get a good enough idea on how to greet a customer. Well, in other words, if you didn't read it, every customer is a little different. There's some customers I can come up, "What's up, buddy? How's it going?" Other customers, it's, "How you doing, sir?" You treat them a little different. No one's the same. There's some people that they'll crack jokes with you. There's some people that are pretty serious. They're just there to golf. They're not there to have a fun time like the rest of them. You can pick and choose which golfers you want to tend to. That's kind of where you get a fine line of morality. Now, let's say this happens quite often. Two vehicles pull up at the same time. Let's say I'm the only one working. One car is a $500,000 Bentley with spinner rims on it and subs in the back. Well, golfer's pretty loaded, right? Well, you're expecting a huge tip. Well, the other vehicle that pulls up, it's like a 94 Tahoe. It's all rusted out. It's not the greatest. But that golfer's like 80, 70. He's old. You can barely pick up his bag. Well, maybe that old guy is everything but the kitchen sink in his bag, just like mine. But he's struggling to carry it. Now, on the other hand, you can go over to the $500,000 guy. His bag's light as a feather because he knows how to play golf. He's got the nicest clubs you can imagine. Now, do you go for the big tip, or do you go for the morality factor, helping the old guy? I can't tell you the answer to that. That's something you got to figure out. Now, to the actual club cleaning part. If you're in the middle of winter, obviously nobody's playing golf, so you don't have to worry about this. There's only two seasons you really worry about: summer and rainy summer. Now, if it's rainy out, you get two dry rags. One to wipe off all the stuff, all the grime and everything, and then another just to dry them. Now, if you're really going the extra mile, you'll even pull the club out of the bag, clean the grip off, all that stuff. Normally you don't have to. But, see this club right here. It's freaking nasty. I mean, it's got rust all over this thing. I can't clean rust with just a rag. It's just pointless. I'll be scrubbing here for hours and I get nothing. Now, so what I first would do is a good caddy or bag attendant. They'd have a bucket of water. For these purposes, I just got a sandwich container. Water and a wet rag. Now, best way I found it, just to get it damp. You don't have to have the thing soaking wet. So you get your wet rag, open your hand all the way up, put the rag pretty flat, like just like a cloth on there, and you're mainly going to be using your thumb. So just use your thumb and you work at it really good. The thing people look for most to tell if your club is actually clean or not is a little indentation on the marking on the top of your club of what it is. So for this one, it's a wedge, so it's got a W on it. Now this little W likes to fill in with dirt, grime, you name it, sand. It gets disgusting. And so does the cavity backs. So right there you can kind of see it's a little hollow right up here. Now if those are gross and nasty, well, obviously you clean them. You don't just leave them. It's part of doing the job. Now after I would clean this, it's still wet. If it's like 110 degrees out, you don't have to do the second step, which would be dry ragging. Clean them off. This gets the excess dirt and everything off. Sometimes if you have a really wet rag, it likes to keep the sand and everything still on your golf club. Well, that's a no bueno, because it doesn't even look like you cleaned it. It just looks like it's shined up a little bit and you still got dirt and grass on it. Not happening. They're not going to pay you anything for that. So, you dry it off. Now you move on to the next thing. Now you typically will only do this if they ask. You can have a brush. Now this is a nicer brush here. They sell other ones for like $1 at Walmart. They work alright. They bust in half pretty quick, especially if you leave them in the sun. So here is your hard bristle brush, just like a plastic. And then you actually have your brass brush. Now, for my clubs, you could obviously see the rust on there. So if they ask, or if I offer it to them as a service, I'll sit here and I'll scrub that rust off. Some people like the rust. They keep it eclectic. They keep it having character. They might have had it since they were 5 years old. Some of these older gentlemen have had their clubs their entire life. They'll play nothing else. They won't even try a new club. So don't get mad if they won't let you clean them. It's just their thing. Don't try and push it on them. But what you can do, you can always clean a club with the plastic side. You go over it, you go under it. Sometimes you can even get the hosel. The hosel is this little plastic piece right here. That's what holds the head of the club on to the shaft. And it'll get nasty up and down the cracks, especially if it's starting to come off. Just go up and down on it. Another thing you can do, if the clubs are really bad, take this. You can take actual steel brush on this. Most people won't ever care. You go up and down on the shaft itself, and you can get the surface rust off. Not too very often we have time for that, but if somebody asks you specifically to do that, you may. Another thing to do, some brushes will have a plastic or they'll have a metal end on it to clean the grooves. Now if your grooves are somewhat clean, you wouldn't have to worry about it. A lot of people do not want you groove cleaning. They're brand new wedges, they're brand new irons. Don't even try the driver, alright? Some of them sets go for upwards of $2 grand and it'll wreck your finish. But on an old set of clubs like mine, or pretty much anybody else's, or moderate clubs, you can take wooden tees that like to break a lot, especially on the tip. You can get like 2 sets of clubs out of them going, but I mean they're free. You can find them anywhere. Or you can take a plastic one, take a little pocket knife, cut it down, and actually sharpen the point. Now, the grooves, these different lines, they like to clog up with different sand, muck, dirt, you name it. Sometimes you can't even get it off with the rag. Now what you do is take the pokey, put it in there, and you'll scrape inside the grooves. And this is what actually gets everything out of there. Once you do this, then you can take your rag again, wet rag it, dry rag it. Sometimes I even like to do this first before I even clean that, but it depends on how much time I really have. So